First match today, we won't get as far as Li Xiong, but
yeah,
you never know. And this afternoon, when we see our second matchup, that could be an entirely different story. But I'm open to anything here, Jordan, and I'm open to see what Mindfreak can do. They've shown us 2 weeks in a row that they cannot be underestimated.
Yeah, both teams rolling out on Go. It's important to keep an eye on how Order goes. Again, with this new roster, Jordation playing the new role of the aim support, the flex support. And Order obviously having signed on the Xayah, the hit scan DPS position at the moment. Very interesting, Adam playing around the back of Mindfreak. Mindfreak are the ones that do have control of the point. Now, they do have the May Goat spent, so that is what Order's trying to avoid.
Yeah, this is going to be difficult as well. You can see Order getting a little bit of trouble now. Plot Pixie both down. That May wall coming up in perfect time. And look, I actually love now that not only do we get the little icons on the screen, you can see when they're frozen as well, Jordan. Icicles across the top of Adam there as he gets taken out by Christoph. So, nice first fight for win from Mindfreak. And as you alluded to, I think part of the reason why last week Order really struggled up against the Drop Bears was that change that they made to the roster. So, is it still going to be too soon for them to be playing at their best this week? And does that give Mindfreak a bit of an opportunity? I suppose we'll have to wait and see. Already up to 27% now. Again, that May wall causing a little bit of trouble. Davey going to jump all the way out, and he's going to take down Jordation. Sign has also gone down, so this fight win going in favor of Mindfreak as well.
Yeah, you can definitely see the May working exactly how it needs to. 2 fights in a row, we've seen Order. 1 or 2 of their players being isolated. Mindfreak able to capitalize on it quite.
Get it?
Yeah, Mindfreak able to capitalize on it quite easily. I mean, Christoph himself hasn't necessarily done so much damage, but the walls have been on point. And Mindfreak is definitely reaping the rewards. Order looking maybe a little bit lost. They need to be staying as a grouped bunch if they're going to win this one. But now I feel like it's a little too much to come back from.
Oceania comes through, Transcendence though does come out in time. I'm going to come out also from Mindfreak here, holding it up with a little bit of damage. Wilco will drop the beat. That's 2 support ultimates now used by Mindfreak. Adam with the self-destruct coming through. It's back into the mech. Quats goes down to Davey as he will get caught out. You can see the ultimate also coming out from Christoph here. So Mindfreak getting the picks also now up to 80%. 1 fight remains here, Jordan. It is not looking good for Order.
Yeah, that's a pretty expensive fight for Mindfreak though. They use 4 of their ultimates. Not to mention 2 of them being the defensive support ults. Order's going to come into this one with a sound barrier alive, and that is their advantage going into it. If the Earth Shatter hits but doesn't really get a massive Earth Shatter, the sound barrier is going to cancel it out. And the rally maybe not too important.
Oh, look at this! Huge plays from Davey. Time to charge on through. He does straight into Quats as well. Well, Scoob's actually going to find the free damage that way. Davey swings it around. We're now into overtime. But all you can see here is this is Mindfreak picking up kills. And they'll go 100-0 on the first point in Nepal.
Yeah, very impressive from Mindfreak. Get the advantage early on in the piece and don't relinquish control of it at all. Order had no real response to the May Goats at all.
Wow.
So 1-0 from Mindfreak, and a very convincing 1-0 to start things off as well. And you sort of look at that now and you think, okay, Mindfreak, they're in a good spot to actually win this map. You probably can't play May for the rest of the map. Like, obviously, the next 2 rounds, the 2 specific maps that we're going to get on aren't necessarily conducive to the May Goat. So maybe that quote-unquote cheese isn't necessarily going to work. So where does Mindfreak fall back onto here? What, can they actually beat Order in a standard Goats matchup, or is it did they just win because May was kind of a little bit too much for Order to deal with? But May doesn't work here.
No, certainly does not. And as you can see, standard Goats heading out now for both sides. This Order and Mindfreak push onto the point. 20 seconds. Diddle-daddle around before the point now unlocks. And we're looking to see who's going to get some free damage. Sign. We know just how good Sign is here on the Xayah, but it's Quats who goes down first to Christoph. That is not the start that Order needed. No,
Quats going down. It just allows Mindfreak to back away. They know that they've got the 5v6 now, particularly when it's the main tank down. This is such a big advantage for Mindfreak, but the trade comes back from Order. Very nicely done, and that's a mistake from Mindfreak.
That was a crucial pick there for Yuki to get. Now it's 5v5, and you can see that Quats is going to be back into the action much quicker. Already here, finding it up. Quats brings down Slitzel, Jay, and Order gets to the point. Mindfreak kind of giving that one up.
Yeah, very disappointing. I mean, Mindfreak there, they really should have had that. It was a 5v6, as I said, and to not be able to convert that into an initial cap is a little bit worrisome for Mindfreak there, I think. Everything was on the platter for them, and it wasn't executed correctly.
Well, now it's going to be up to Mindfreak to try and get back onto the point. Quats with that strike coming through now has his ultimate available. Throws it straight through. Earthshatter picks up a couple. That's enough. Transcendent. So from Goops, maybe enough to keep Mindfreak alive. Looking for a self-destruct, maybe. No, not yet. Even though they had the grab coming through, Yuki and Goops found out. But it will be Davey going down to Order's self-destruct there. Nice work from Adam, and that'll be enough to get this fight win in Order's favour. Having said that, they did have to drop 2 support ultimates.
Yeah, both sides actually.
Mindfreak, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, both sides dropping the double support ultimates. The thing was, though, that Goobs used his to keep Mindfreak alive through the Earthshatter, and when the Graviton Surge came down from Signed, it meant that the Transcendence just faded as Mindfreak was still stuck in that Grav Surge, so Goobs was an easy pick-off. Order do come away with the fight win, even despite the fact that Mindfreak looked fairly decent in it. Earthshatter available here for Davey, and he has generally been pretty consistent with those. Signed up from the back.
Self-destruct coming through from Christoph. Quats and Slitzel J both going down to 1-for-1, but you'd rather have your main tank now. Mindfreak can sort of sit in behind Davey, and Order has no way to defend really against this Earthshatter should it come through. Going to use it there on Signed, just Signed alone, but it won't matter. Jordan, Signed both finding damage. Mindfreak falling apart here on the second point of Nepal. It's going to be 1-1.
Yeah, it certainly is. Order's definitely looking a lot better here. And I mean, of course, it's Order looking good, but also Mindfreak, I think they are just failing to execute what they need to. They have had advantages and they've had opportunities where they've been able to get the initial pick in any given fight, but they just haven't converted that into a fight win for one reason or another. Order definitely looking a lot more comfortable in the Goats v Goats, the standard Goats matchup. As Mindfreak sort of just being run around a little bit, you can see the mechanical advantages that Order possesses, kind of pulling it over the line for them just a little bit. Coordination there, I think, for Order looking a little better as well than it is for Mindfreak. But we do go into the third round.
Yeah, and I was going to say, interestingly enough, on Monday we saw all teams running Winston Goats, and I was going to say, are we going to see a Reinhardt here coming out of Order? No, we are not. Winston now on both sides, 1 apiece. This is a very important round for both teams, and Mindfreak could somehow pick up a victory here on Nepal. That would be a great start to the series for them, that's for sure, and potentially put Order onto tilt. But after the last round and after that first pick, Jordan, it's looking less and less likely.
Yes, indeed. I don't really see this going the way of Mindfreak now, particularly after how convincing that first fight was for Order. I mean, initially, obviously, Davey goes down really quickly, and then the floodgates open. Mindfreak have got nothing done there. And you have to go all the way back to round 1 to find a time where Mindfreak actually want to fight.
Yeah.
Well, it's a long time in the past. We had high hopes, but it doesn't seem like those are being realized. Mindfreak will need to win this next fight. Otherwise, it'll be too much of an advantage to come back from.
Sign going to have the grab available, throws it straight down immediately, but Christoph has the right click out, and that's going to eat that one all the way up. This is an opportunity now for Mindfreak to bring it back. Quats into the Primal Rage, already taken quite a bit of damage now. Going to jump back onto the point, actually getting rid of Davey in the process, however, so quite a successful ultimate coming out from the main tank there for Order. Primal Rage really coming through just in the nick of time. Yep. Now Mindfreak will need to fall back onto the point, up to 40%.
Davey's definitely not having a fun time, really hasn't been able to have much of an impact here. As he's only at 65% of that Primal Rage. Quads, on the other hand, has already used his and is back to charging up for his second. So definitely lagging behind a little bit in that respect. Mindfreak do have the ultimates here, but it's eaten again.
It is indeed. Adam the one doing the job. Addy going to get caught out there by Jordation. Mindfreak now with 5 players, all of them with the sound barriers. That does start to dissipate. Order will be chasing them down. It's really unfortunate here for Mindfreak. It's not working out how they expected. Again, as you said, Jordan, after that first fight, things were looking good. I had high hopes. It's like driving through a busy car park, thinking you see a spot, and then when you get there, it's actually just a small car that you couldn't see from the outside. And you get really upset, and that's essentially what we're seeing right now.
That seems like a fair enough analogy to me. Sign will be coming up on the grab fairly shortly, maybe even in this fight. Maybe he won't even need it because Mindfreak have already lost the first player. Their Diva now down, traded out for the Brigitte. Graviton eventually does get thrown there by Sign, and that should be the death sentence for Mindfreak.
Will indeed be. We saw Davey use the Primal Rage. What had been sitting on his now does get popped. The self-destruct available as well. Mindfreak trying to get on the point, but as you can see, there is very little that they can do with the limited number of players they have. Adding swaps across to the Wrecking Ball, but it is only a matter of time. And that should be that. 2-1 on Nepal to Order. Good start to the day for them after an average start on the first round.
Yeah, I think where you can look at sort of where it went wrong really for Mindfreak is when they initially got that first pick on the second point, weren't able to really capitalize on taking down Quats. With that 5v6, Quats comes back, then they lose Davey, and immediately the tables turn straight away. From there on out, Order is winning every single fight, and it's not even close. It's
not even close, and unfortunately, it seemed like as soon as the May was gone, that was it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, look, like I said, like it almost felt like it was a little bit cheesy for Mindfreak. They obviously made it work quite nicely. Order weren't prepared for the May, but if you're going to sort of fall back onto the May goats, and then you're not able to back it up with the standard goats itself, you know, you're not going to be able to run May goats everywhere. But goats, standard goats, you pretty much can run everywhere. So really, end of the day, when push comes to shove, it really only matters if you can actually win that goats v goats matchup. And obviously they couldn't. So that bodes poorly for Mindfreak for the rest of this series. Obviously you look across all of that map pool, you know, maybe Blizzard World you can bring out something like a quad DPS or triple DPS or something like that. But by and large, for the rest of the maps, we're looking for goats, we're looking for standard goats, and if Mindfreak's not going to be able to stand up to that against Order, this series is probably going to go much the same as Nepal.
Yeah, it seemed to me like, in addition to the fact that obviously we had the May and that gave them an advantage, they seemed to do well, Mindfreak seemed to do well when they had the advantage in general. They were good at playing from in front, but as soon as they were behind, they didn't know what to do. They weren't stacking ultimates, they weren't doing what they need. Even when they thought maybe they could find an advantage, it didn't go in their favor. So
a lot of the time it sort of felt like their ultimates weren't getting the value that they needed, and that's kind of how you want to come back into the game. If you've used up your opponent's ultimates and then you throw your own in and you're able to get a big combo out with the Graviton Surge or self-destruct or something like that, that's sort of your win condition to get back into the swing of things. But obviously not the case there for Mindfreak. So moving on to Blizzard World. I mean, I think it's definitely still workable for Mindfreak. Like, we saw that they can actually challenge Order when they catch them off guard, when they maybe have that advantage, like you say. But I think sort of Order, to me, seems like a team that when they're ahead, they really don't give up any sort of quarter to their opposition. When they're behind, that's when they sort of start to struggle a little bit. Maybe the tilt sets in. But now that they're ahead, now that they've comfortably won Nepal, I think there should be no issues for Order here in securing the 4-0.
All right, we'll see if that's the case. I'm still looking for a potential Mindfreak map, and again, to be fair, after we saw what they did on the first round of Nepal, you'd like it's definitely doable for them. It's definitely achievable. Let's see if they can do it here on Blizzard World. Mindfreak going to be starting this one off on defense. Order coming out on attack to kick this one off. We'll see if they want to play. For now, looking pretty stock standard here, Elfishguy.
Yeah, no real surprises at all. Both teams running the Reinhardt. Maybe you could argue you can run a Winston here. That would really be the only variation I think you'd be likely to see. Potentially a Sombra as well, but for both these two teams, they do seem to really favour the GOATS composition more so than anything else.
Look at this. This is interesting play, but Hunter's going to get caught out there by Davey, trying to play off the wall. Great trade, though, with Goops going down. Adam demexed, Adam picked up, so maybe now Order will have to rethink how they want to play this.
But they're still in a position to try and make something happen. Remember, Order on the defense, or sorry, on the attack right now, and their spawns are going to favour them. So if they can trade 1-for-1, that's going to be good enough.
Well, they did hold the high ground. It seemed that everyone who was on the high ground for the duration of the time they were on the high ground was fine. I guess maybe in that situation, Mindfreak is happy for them to sit up there. They're not doing too much.
As long as they're not on the point.
Capturing the point, right? So as soon as Order fell down onto the point, that was when things sort of fell apart.
Nice stagger there. Good chase onto Signed as well. It's going to buy a little more time for Mindfreak here. The interesting thing for me is the Order have actually built their ults relatively quickly in comparison to Mindfreak. Like, Signed has already got the Graviton Surge, and we know that everyone talks about Signed being able to charge that Grab Surge up very quickly indeed, but that's a big advantage for Order coming into this next fight. Mindfreak relying on the Earth Shatter for now. Addy there shortly with the Graviton Surge, but no defensive support ult on either side just yet. Well, Jodation just comes up on it. But that's, I think, the big advantage that Order have.
Earth Shatter comes through, not necessarily having the impact it needs, but the Grab is picked through as well. And what? Look at that, 1, 2, 3. Davey going down to Sign. Fight win to Order.
Well, that's the power of the Graviton Surge with no support ultimate. I mean, Swilko and Goobs, 66 and 85% respectively. Another 10 or 15 seconds there, and Goobs probably would have had the Transcendence available for that to keep everyone alive through it. But like I said, if you don't have that defensive support ult, there's almost no chance of surviving if the Graviton Surge hits, and it hits well. Yeah,
I think that was the benefit of that high ground play though, right? Where Sign could sit up there and play some off angles, throw that right click in, get a little bit of free damage that perhaps Addy could not get. The grab though, this time coming out from Addy. Christoph just hits the self-destruct in the middle, finds Hunter and Quats. You heard the Earth Shatter coming out from Quats as well, but it's not going to make a difference here. This fight going to Mindfreak. They're going to try and make a stand.
Yeah, really aggressive early fight from Mindfreak, and that's good to see heading into Phase B. This is going to give them at least 2 or 3 fights before Order caps out Point B, if indeed they cap out Point B. Being able to hold so far forward on the map really does force Order to commit ultimates as well to push to Point B itself, rather than just being able to walk the payload forward quite easily. So this is nice for Mindfreak. It's a good start to the second phase of the map.
Davey has an Earth Shatter. It's all about timing and placement for him. You'll see Order going to go the same way they went to start the map off, down through the inside, past the siege tank, and back now, hopefully for them, onto the payload. Mindfreak holding the high ground. Davey's going to get sort of booped off there and out of position. Still not a great spot. The shield's going to go down. Not where you want to be. Oh, here's the self-destruct. There's a shield available just up in the nick of time, as was the personal shield from Addy. You'll see this sound barrier from Hunter here, but Order somehow managed to sneak the payload moving, and now it's Mindfreak who are out of position.
Yeah, Swilko just going to get the touch there to slow things down so that Mindfreak can catch up. Graviton Surge now out from Addy. No real damage coming from it, though, as the Transcendence is there to keep everyone alive. Earth Shatter for Quats may be the difference maker, and he's just waiting, biding his time. Here he goes, throws it out. It's a good one.
Shatter, well done. Finds at least 2 with that. And the follow-up's going to come through from the team, including Jordation, who's getting a little bit DPS in as well, sort of, I suspect, missing his old role. So, that was a nice little fight win coming out from Order. And the payload's going to get moving once again. 2 minutes on the clock here, Jordan.
Yeah, just far too much sustain through that fight for Mindfreak to deal with, and Quats being able to use that Earth Shatter, keep it late in the round, oh sorry, late in the fight. Mindfreak not expecting it at all, and as I said, the difference maker. Mindfreak once again will try to recontest. Quats has found Goobs initially, no. Self-destruct not doing much damage there.
The grab looks to find one, but that will be enough. And time and time again we talk about how 1 and 2 player ultimates can be worth it if it wins you the rest of the fight. Anyway, for now, Mindfreak sitting on the payload. Order going to have to reset here. Adam, you can see, has the self-destruct available. Jordation very close to a Transcendence, but when you talk about ultimate charges, Mindfreak at the moment who has the advantage.
Big advantage indeed. Order going for that dry fight. Graviton Surge does come out from Addy, and Davey trying to put the damage through it, but the Transcendence from Jordation will keep Order quite safe.
Great Earth Shatter come out from Davey. Unfortunately, there's not really anyone there to follow up with any sort of damage, Jordan. They'll be forced to fall back. Still 6 alive for both teams. Sound barrier coming out for Order. Goobs, though, still sitting on that Transcendence. If he can stay outside of Quats' ultimate, he might be safe. Pops it straight away, pops it early. That might have been a reasonable play. Manages to survive through the ulti, but the rest of the team will not hear from Mindfreak.
Certainly not. Order will be able to push on through into Point B. I don't think it was a bad Transcendence out from Goobs, but it just didn't matter in the end.
Yeah.
Quats' shadow was far too good. Davey gets camped coming out of spawn as well. So that's a big stagger, and it will allow Order to push forward here and take huge control of the map. Nice 5-ball from Jordation as well. Got to give him credit where it's due. But this is looking too easy now for Order. They've really established themselves already into Phase C. Mindfreak haven't been able to reset at all.
No, you probably, if you were one of these Mindfreak players, were not expecting for the fireball to be coming out as you're heading out of spawn. You thought you were probably safe in that situation, but was not the case. Now the payload's getting ever closer to the third and final objective C here. 120 on the clock, to be fair. Mindfreak have used up a fair bit of time. Order is taking a while to achieve what they need to, but it's definitely looking doable for them right now. Earthshatter going to come out from Davey. Grab coming through as well. Splitsaw picks up Yuki, but look at that nice little self-destruct from Adam. Finds two. Davey kind of in a difficult situation as well. Expecting to see him go down shortly. At least Wilco does find Quats. It is a very messy fight.
It is certainly, but it's going to be a win for Order. You can see Stein just putting so much damage down right now. He was playing from the high ground. Easy right clicks for him there, straight into his own Graviton Surge. We're already back up to 60% of that particular Graviton Surge. The fight's not even really over as Mindfreak still continue to stagger in here.
Look, there is serious potential if they get onto the point. One last fight, maybe they can hold this off, Jordan, long enough to push it into overtime. That would be the, I think, ideal goal here for Mindfreak if they can't come up with a fight win. That is, look at this, Hunter's going to drop the big Jordation, still sitting on his Transcendence. Wilco looks like he's thrown out his ultimate as well. Mindfreak picked up, they've got nothing else here to work with. Jordation does pop the trans. The payload successfully transported to Objective C. I'm pretty sure they did manage to do that with time remaining.
Shouldn't matter too much in a payload map. Obviously it's nice, but I mean 8 seconds, okay. Really not too big of a deal. I mean, really Signed there, I think, was the difference maker for Order being able to stay alive through the last fight. Build another Graviton Surge up. That was the sticking point for Mindfreak. Well, now for Mindfreak to move on to their own attacking side. It's a little scary of a prospect, I think, when Order finishes off all three. Definitely work to be done. I mean, it sort of felt like once that point A cap went over to Order, Mindfreak were never really able to re-establish themselves in a defensive position. Like, they had some fights, but they never actually really won any. So Order just kept that payload moving pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I think it was definitely that third phase, right, where they really struggled. Once we got inside there, there wasn't really a fight that went in Mindfreak's favor. They had a couple of good fights on the first payload phase, but that was about it. And I guess they won the first fight of the round as well. So that's got to count for something. And that's obviously how we managed to get only 8.7 seconds remaining for Order. But getting all the way through for Mindfreak here might be a little bit of a challenge.
I won't disagree. Klotz will be playing the Sombra here for Order. It's such an unfortunate thing that it's the Diva kind of that gets swapped out for the Sombra, because especially for Order, when you've got three players that... Wait, hang on. That's the main tank. Normally I was
get baited, Jordan.
I was thinking Shoyo was... Oh, sorry. What am I going? Look, Quats, Shoyo, they used to play on the same team. Don't
get baited, Jordan. I'm not getting baited anymore, okay?
Anyway. The point still stands, but it's unfortunate the Diva's the one that normally plays.
If you see a car park that's available, except the car park's not really there, and it's just a small car or a motorbike that you can't see until you try and turn.
I've lost my pen as well. I mean, everything's going wrong today.
Things are going wrong. You should just go home, Jordan. I'll cover it from here. Don't you worry, buddy. I got
steal my pen.
No, but I gave you a new pen. I gave you a spare. Okay, just right with that. Look, let's get into this. Come on. All right, Addy's about to go down. No healed back up. Mindfreak trying to push through with a very traditional ghost setup. Order defending with precisely the same thing for now. The fight taking a little bit of time so far. If you take a look at the ultimate charge, it's definitely sitting in favor of Order. Quats already up to 75% right now. Now 82, but Sign's the first one to go down, and if we believe stats, Jordan, Order can't possibly win from here.
They can't possibly, unless there's a good shatter out here from Quats, and we've seen that time and time again, haven't we? So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. It's a good one, as it does find Goobs. The follow-up will be okay for Order as well. The DMAC onto Christoph. Trades coming out from Mindfreak, but they're just a little bit too little, too late. Like I said, all it takes is one good Earth Shatter there from Quats, and you can bet your bottom dollar that he is going to be the one that will always be able to deliver in a situation like that.
Stats, Jordan, not even once. Not even once. So, fight win going across to Order. Mindfreak now will at least have a sound barrier available. Could be countered, however, by Jordation and that Transcendence. I think there's potential here for a good grab from Addy to bait out the trans, or require the trans, right? Hopefully after that, Mindfreak can follow it up with a little bit of damage. We'll see if that works out or not for them. But 2 minutes now on the clock. Addy with this grab not yet used. Obviously doesn't want to get it eaten like happened before. Beat's going to come through. Grab goes in and it gets eaten. Adam, great work. The self-destruct coming through as well. Finds Slitsaw J. Quats has been taken out by Christoph Goops with the Transcendence onto the point, as is Jordation. This time though, Science found his grab. Will follow up onto Goops. 1-for-1 trades back and forth. You say theoretically that favors the attacking team when their spawns just that little bit closer. That appears to be the case.
Adam just hiding in the corner, trying to buy as much time as possible. I don't know how that fight went wrong for Order. It looked like every piece of the puzzle was there. Signed even holding onto the grab once Mindfreak didn't have any support ultimates to use through it, but somehow Mindfreak get that damage out and they're able to clean up Order. In the end, that means point A is going to be capped up. Order have to reset themselves. They'll play from the high ground for the defense. How aggressive do they want to go here? Sign does get knocked down, so they'll have to wait for him to regroup.
This was kind of the point where Order struggled on attack, so if Mindfreak can find a little bit of ground here, it might put him in a bit of a better position. Earthshatter comes through, finds Jordation and Adam. Adam about to get demeched as well, so not a bad pick. Addy throws out the grab. They need to follow it up with damage, and that's precisely what Mindfreak will do. The payload gets moving. Phase B looking not so bad so far here for Mindfreak. Yeah,
but I don't think Order's disappointed with that. Earthshatter and grab coming there for Mindfreak, and really taking a fight in that position is that's the objective for Order, really. It's just to waste ultimates of the attacking side. Order, they don't need to actually win the fights until it gets to point B. And they can do it much easier when there's not as many ultimates available for Mindfreak. So 2 minutes and a half to try and defend with here for Order. And this is where they're really starting to commit to trying to win fights.
Signed with the grab, looking for prime position, potentially looking to drop down behind Mindfreak here, catch them all unawares. Davey throws, going to get knocked down actually. That's not what they wanted to see. Not even necessarily needing the grab right now, because you can see that with Davey picked up by Quants, it's a very difficult situation for Mindfreak to be in. They're going to force them into what looks like the arcade and pick them up, and now Order going to be able to, as you said, Jordan, defend objective B from a more secure, bit of a safer, easier position.
Swilko just trying to back cap in there, and he got fairly close, but Order well aware of it. I mean, such a good fight for Order that they barely even need anything. I think it was just the shatter from Quats, which in itself was actually built up in that last fight. So basically a free fight win for Order, and now they've got the forward hold again, which is going to be a situation where they can Mindfreak.
Look at this, Slitsaw J going down. And Science grab, yeah, going to get eaten up there by Christoph.
Doesn't matter though.
No, it doesn't.
The damage was already done. Order had, look at, you could have seen, okay, they got that pick and so much damage as well. It's a back cap attempt going on. It's a Lucio battle out on the point again. Swilko up to his usual shenanigans, but can't get it done this time.
So, see Mindfreak starting to run out of time here, Jordan. 1 minute and 8 seconds on the clock. Order sitting on 4, ulti soon to be 5. Mindfreak sitting on 4, soon to be 5. But it seems to me that maybe Order is using theirs just a little bit better. Does the combination of having this this grab for Mindfreak prove to be better, or would you? Oh, see ya later. Addy not having a very good day with these grabs, to be perfectly honest. Christoph going to get caught out here by Quat. The self-destructs come through. Adam finds 1.5 there, with Christoph being demeched in the process. And now only 30 seconds remain. Christoph still not able to get back into the mech or back into spawn. Davey on the Quat, that's a big one, but the Transcendence now coming through. This could be enough. And as Jordan alludes to, Graviton Surge available should it be required. I would suspect they survive through this fight and use the grab to finish them off. They won't even let them onto the payload.
I don't think they're going to need the grab to finish them off. I think Mindfreak have really just finished themselves off in that instance. Christoph is going to have to go for the Hail Mary onto the cart to try and cat that overtime.
what do you do? Yep, no one else can even get in, Jordan. No one else can even get in. Order 2-0 after they take down Mindfreak here on Blizzard World, and a pretty convincing victory, to be perfectly honest, so far. There are things that Mindfreak are doing that are good, and I think some of the fights that we've seen have been impressive, but not enough combined into a row to actually come out with a win.
Yeah, exactly. The major issue at the end there is for Mindfreak, that fight lasted so long that they weren't able to really reset. I think it was pretty obvious for a long time that they were actually losing that fight, and they could have disengaged it and gone for one more to try and cat through to point B, but Order really didn't let them. They just continued to hound them, continued to chase them, and pick up the map fairly easily as well. I sort of feel like as every map goes by, we sort of just start to see teams here in this season feel a little bit less faith, right? Map 1 done, we say, okay, maybe there's still a chance, a little one for Mindfreak, but after map 1, after winning that first round in map 1, and then not finishing it off in their favor, you start to get a little bit of a sense that they are being a little deflated. And this one, even more convincing than map 1. So what does that leave us in terms of Volskaya, in terms of Watchpoint Gibraltar? Maybe things start to look even cleaner here for Order as we come back from the halftime break.
Yeah, right now, Order definitely looking in control. I questioned at the beginning of the match whether maybe the changes that Order had made are still taking a little bit of time to set in, and perhaps they are. But it looks to me, up against an opponent like Mindfreak, it's not as big of an issue, clearly, as what we saw last week.
Well, it's never going to be as big of an issue against a team like Mindfreak. Like, literally, the only time that Order needs to play at their peak is when they play against Sydney Drop Bears, because they can kind of go through the rest of the competition at 75% and they'll be okay. Such is the power of the roster.
Certainly is. Well, guys and girls, that is halftime here. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more Overwatch. We'll see you soon.